However, for me, the most important thing is really just being about, being true to yourself and really just following your passion and what really lights you up inside.
I'm happy to welcome Sharni Quinn again here with us today. There's so many young people wanting to pursue a career in yoga.
Yes.
What would you advise them? How could they ever make a living out of this?
It's a very interesting question, actually, because I think there's so many young women, well, all ages actually, that are wanting to get into being able to do what they love and love what they do, and also earn money out of that.
Yes.
So it is a challenge because that is the way that the world's going. It's very much more wellness orientated than it was before. And so it's quite a difficult industry to get into because it is so popular. However, for me, the most important thing is really just being about, being true to yourself and really just following your passion and what really lights you up inside. And each one of us is different. So, like for example, I combine our, yoga beach cocktails, and a whole vibe that I did when I did my first travel trip. And I went on my Father of the Sun journey for 9 months. And I remember going to a creative manifestation workshop at the Yoga Barn, one of the institutions there in Bali. And this creative manifestation facilitator said to me, she was this tanned hippie, exactly how you picture it. She said, Sharni, what do you want to create in your life? And I remember in that moment, it literally hit me because I was on my own journey, but I realized this was my passion and that I wanted to be able to create what I was going through in that healing process for other women. So, and that's what I do now. I mean, I'm really passionate about taking women who are feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and stuck and tired and just really maybe lost, and being able to transform them so that they feel energized and they feel inspired and they feel like they're living their purpose. And so it really is important to be doing what is, what's true for you and not just what's out there in the community and what's out there on Instagram and what everybody else is doing. And once again, my own journey, I have followed that where, the money might have been in corporate or the money could be there. And so changing who I am as a person and going into different industries, even though I was doing my yoga and meditation and the life coaching and creating programs around it, it just wasn't something that I was passionate about. And so finding that, women are really my passion, and I have a lot of personal experience and, experience professionally to be able to share that knowledge with them. And so I think it is really, especially the younger girls going into this industry, get the qualifications
That's what I wanted to highlight, because you've got qualifications in marketing and advertising.
Yes, well, that was my life before yoga and life coaching.
But it helped you so much.
It definitely did, because then I've been able to do it all for myself, where, you didn't have to pay people. And nowadays it's actually really easy. So there are ways of being able to create your own website, to create your own YouTube channel. And, the millennials all know a lot of those tools, but behind the scenes, what is needed to be able to make and earn a living off having a yoga career?
That is the biggest question, because people romanticize. They think they can leave school, learn how to be a yoga teacher, and then travel the world, teach yoga. You still need to have the business principles.
Definitely, and it's not that easy. It really isn't. I've been running my own company, I think, for about 8-9 years now, and it's really difficult to get your name out and a brand out. And I started teaching yoga when there was only one yoga studio in Cape Town. So I remember being I didn't even know anything about SEO, and we were the first, our Father of the Sun was the first website that came up when you look for personal yoga in Cape Town. So, and I didn't do anything for it. Whereas now it's obviously a different story. And pay a lot more, and Google AdWords and all of that. So it's about how do you get into the industry and how do you start where you have no idea of where to actually start. So
what you said is so true, and it reminds me of another lady when asked, what do you want to do with your life? And she said, well, 2 things, that it'll just take a lot of money and, you know, I can't make a living. And that is, I want to travel
Yes.
and I want to dance.
Oh, wow.
And that's what she does. She takes people on travel trips and they do tango around the world. And she
Yes.
makes a living. She followed her heart, but she asked the right questions. She had mentors. She had business coaches. She worked a business plan. So that is important. It's not just, okay, let's go. You know?
No, and I've worked with a lot of yogis that have taught for me, or my yoga angels, and it's actually quite challenging because I would ask them for invoices and 3 months later they wouldn't come through. So, you know, it's all fine and well being in this Zen space, but you have to be, your admin skills, you know, you really need to be like knowing what you're doing in your life and being organized. And when you need to invoice somebody, it's about being professional as well. Invoice them.
Yes, and how does your invoice
and how does it all work, and how do you
does
even
it
start?
work, and when does VAT come in, and when company tax comes in, and how does that
Exactly.
affect you as a human being as well?
And you need to know all of that. And do you actually want to end up being a yoga company and owning a studio? And then you need to know what the expenses are that go into that. Or do you want to rather be on your own? And, you know, so I've done all of that and then decided I'd actually rather just be me and maybe have a bit of a support team, but not necessarily create this whole empire and have this big studio. I've never actually wanted a studio. And because I'm such a travel bag, then it is around traveling the world and being able to inspire women, and now being able to go online and, you know, because then you can reach more people, and that makes a huge big difference. So you need to know what it is that you're passionate about, first of all, but then also know how businesses, like basics of how businesses run, and then also how you're going to be different, you know, how are you going to stand out? And I think that's what I learned mainly, was my biggest thing in marketing and advertising and graphic design was what's going to make you stand out from the crowd.
Big
So
question.
it's a huge big question, and I am busy putting together like 1-day retreats for women specifically
In South Africa?
in South Africa. Well, one day they'll be all over the world, but right now they'll be in South Africa.
There Sharni goes again.
Yes, I know. 7 on the Enneagram. I need to always bring myself back down. Get all excited about it all.
It's good though. It's good.
No,
And
I
it's
love
good
it.
exercise. And how much have you learned
So
from
much.
your journey going corporate and really finding yourself and saying, no. I actually want to live simply. This is who I am.
Yeah, I have. I've like created everything and then brought it back down to, okay, now this is what actually works for me.
So I think at the end of the day, you know, you need to be realistic. You need to realize, listen, I am young. I've left school. I need work experience. I need mentors. I need to find my passion. And if it is yoga, listen to someone like yourself. Read books. And then understand it's going to take a hell of a lot more than you may imagine. Be realistic about it. I mean, if you're a young school-leaving girl, you're not going to, you know, attract a group of middle-aged women to listen to you mentoring. So there's just that clarity that they need to have, and it might look completely different. They might inspire younger children, you know.
Exactly.
So you just need to, as you say, find out what is unique about you. What can you offer that no one else can?
Yes,
and then do that.
And as you said, they're getting the qualifications and doing it in all areas. You know, go to college, go study whatever it is that you think will be able to support that as well, whether it's a business course and having the mentors. It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Mentors and coaches also really help me, and I've spent a lot of money actually on them, but they have made a very big difference.
And some people don't charge.
No.
Because they've had such a rough time getting where they are, and I feel that there's so many people really just wanting to give back, and there's not enough people asking. Just ask.
Yes, it's so true, and it's amazing who you will find, and I think those people come into your life when they're meant to, and if you put it out there and you decide this is what I really want to do and I'm really passionate about, you know, it's amazing, because the universe does support that. It really does.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
And we're going to share your articles online, and Sharni's done some lovely yoga demonstrations for us. You won't call it demonstrations, but sequences for us that we'll share, and yoga meditation, and it's always lovely, and I can't wait to see you back from Bali.
Yes, I look
Come and
forward
say
to
hi.
that. Yeah,
Great.
thank you. Thanks.